Finally, Ilya Topuria is going to fight Paddy Pimblett, or I would hope at least the UFC has some sense in understanding the racially charged history between these two. Yes, you're probably wondering what you're watching right now. UFC London, a couple of years ago, these two guys decided to get into a fight. Why? Because of some racially charged comments that Paddy Pimblett said to Ilya Topuria. And I quote, "Mate, I see why the Russians terrorized you guys." And that literally set off Ilya Topuria. But wait, there's more. Look at this. What do we have here? It looks like we got some Scousers in the airport right now taunting Ilya Topuria. What are they saying to Ilya Topuria? They're saying, "Oh, Paddy the Batty." Can you imagine? These are Paddy Pimblett supporters. What are they saying to him? And look, there's his kid right there. Wait, no, that's not his kid. That's somebody else. Sorry. Either way, imagine if his family was there while getting harassed by the supporters of Paddy Pimblett.
Georgia and Russia.
Yes, I truly see Russia as Georgia's eternal enemy. Russia is an enemy to me and not a brother.
So obviously, as I have mentioned, Topuria versus Paddy Pimblett is a very much racially charged conflict, even though you're dealing with essentially two white men of different backgrounds. One is of Eastern European descent, one is of obviously, one can argue Celtic, or what is it, maybe Irish or Scouser, whatever it is that Paddy can identify as. But it is more about what Paddy said than anything, right? In fact, it is a conflict that has nothing to do with Paddy. Did you know that the Russians have absolutely terrorized the Georgians going back till maybe 2008, maybe even before that? But the conflict of that particular scenario was very prominent in 2008. And as a result, Paddy taunted Ilya Topuria on that particular matter and had decided to antagonize him, and gets into this beef. They get into that street fight of that video that I had just showed you. And not only that, here it is. Paddy is on the verge of climbing. He's on the verge of getting better. And then here's Ilya Topuria, now the double champion. So it is two guys that are rising in one separate scenario to the other, right? But then on top of it, now they got this historic conflict that involves racially charged conflicts, ethnic situations, nationalism, Georgia versus Russia. And what's funny about that is that Paddy had nothing to do with any of these particular conflicts, and yet it is the focal point of their particular conflict. Well, we're going to get right into it right now. And by the way, for those that are watching right now live, I'm doing a live recording of the video that I'm about to put out with Paddy versus Topuria, the conflict that went on with Russia versus Georgia, and how Paddy made light of it. Also, while doing this live right now, for those that are live watching this, and for those that are hearing this in audio form later on, we are doing a live on P. Diddy being denied bail. And what we're going to do is talk about why that is an injustice. And you're going to have to find out, check out the live stream that I'm going to have attached on the description down below once this video is released. But for those that are live streaming with me right now, you are watching it live as we are reacting to it. So let's get to the Paddy versus Ilya Topuria video right now.
Leah remembers things differently. After the 5-day war ended, her husband was left dead and her house gutted by fire. Leah doesn't want these events to be forgotten because she says the conflict
happened. Why did Ilya Topuria attack Paddy Pimblett? And why is Paddy starting problems with all these different kind of fighters? Whereas it seemed like Ilya Topuria is a guy who doesn't really get into this kind of thing. Well, Ilya Topuria is from the country Georgia, which is located in the Caucasus region. And apparently, Paddy Pimblett tweeted this out. Yeah, this is the big reason as to why Topuria had a problem with Paddy Pimblett.
Lad, how stupid are those Georgians, man? No wonder the Russians terrorized their lives. So you can understand why this triggered Ilya Topuria, right? Well, nonetheless, guess what? Now we have an even bigger fight because look at the career trajectory that these two men are at right now. And this right here spells good recipe for a good fight. All right, so while we watch this street fight video again, or whatever you want to call this, throwing hand sanitizer at each other, Mr. Hand Sanitizer, right? What he called Paddy. Okay, let me read to you a comment right now as I'm doing this live stream about P. Diddy, right? Let me read to you a very interesting comment by two of my viewers. Mr. Burberry says, bro was born in Germany, moved to Spain. If a Georgian, how is that racist? He is stating a fact. Paddy is nothing said but the truth, nothing racist or even undertone. That's what Mr. Burberry said. Now, Fresh Melon Juice comes back with a comment that I thought was really interesting. He says, Fresh Melon Juice, and I quote, every time a journalist asks Ilya about going back to Georgia for a reception, he avoids the question. I think he's more Spanish than he is Georgian. Don't think he really cares about Georgia. Well, I tell you what, to answer that question, I think he cares about Georgia enough to go after Paddy Pimblett right here in the way that he did in this street fight footage that we are watching right now. But he also says, Fresh Melon Juice, and I quote, Paddy's intention is to insult. It doesn't matter what he's talking about. And I think that's also very true. Okay, so that is also very true. You have to take that into consideration as well. Paddy's intention is to insult. It doesn't matter what he's talking about. So address that for a second, right? Is this fight really about race? Is it really about conflict? No. What it is that Paddy Pimblett loves to talk about other people in any way, in any fashion that he could, in order to garner some kind of attention or evoke some kind of emotion. And by the way, this is the segment of the video where we get into the psychological factors between Ilya Topuria and Paddy Pimblett. So here we go. So I need you to understand that is the psychological factor that we are trying to understand with Paddy Pimblett and Ilya Topuria. Now, obviously, the first focus that we're going to look at is Paddy Pimblett. Okay, the combat psychology that we're going to break down before these guys walk into the cage, if they are going to walk into the cage, or if that is even a possibility as we are shooting this in the middle of or the beginning of July 2025. But anyways, what we know about Paddy is that he is a jokester. He likes to say things in a low-hanging fruit manner. He's trying to garner your attention. He's trying to evoke emotions out of you, right? And he's going to do it by any means necessary. And by the way, unfortunately, the means and the way that he's trying to get under the skin of Ilya Topuria is using an event that is, quite frankly, very tragic for his people. Now, we all understand the psychology of Paddy Pimblett, right? He likes to be the everyday man. He likes to be the guy that, gains weight in between camps. He says that he doesn't like to have a six-pack in between camps. Now, what kind of crazy thing is that to say? Well, that is saying that he is a guy that tries to be the everyday man. And I'm sorry to say, everybody in England has this insane obsession of trying to be the everyday man. Tom Aspinall has that going on, right? This is probably the reason why the John Jones fight would have been even more interesting had he played the bad guy role. But no, he wants to play the, well, I'm just like everybody else. I'm just a UK prospect. I want to take it nice and slow and easy. If you guys remember in the beginning of his career, right? They want to be the everyday man. That's just the thing that they do in England. Now, you go back to Ilya Topuria. Let me tell you something. The psychology of this man, there is nothing ordinary about him. Okay, he's extremely ambitious. Not only is he extremely ambitious, he's actually achieved his ambitions as a double champion. Okay, and now that he's achieved that, he wants more. He wants mainstream notoriety. Meanwhile, Paddy is not really interested in any of those things. Well, what can I tell you about this particular combat psychology between them, right? Well, as much as I downplay Paddy's approach on trying to be the everyday man, it is actually really the best approach as a mixed martial artist. Think about it. He is the everyday man. There is no pressure for him to get better. There is no pressure for him to stay in shape all year round. And maybe that has something to do with the confidence that he was able to build up. Now, what about Ilia Topuria? What about the confidence in him that was built up over this time? Well, it has everything to do with his training, obviously, but then he also comes from a very glamorized culture in that of Spain. Okay, it's a very glamorized culture because let's think about this, right? If you look at Ilia Topuria, he reminds you of a mainstream soccer star. He has that look about him that screams, I am the teammate of Ronaldo. I am the teammate of Messi, right? I play for Real Madrid. And in fact, he has the endorsement of Real Madrid. And as a result of that, it really puts a different spin to his persona. But on the other side of that, you look at Paddy Pimblett, guess what? This guy right here is sponsored by Liverpool FC. Okay, now what is it that you know about Liverpool FC fans? Well, they're no different than Paddy. They love to fight. They love to scrap. And here's an interesting thing that I know about Liverpool, England, right? It is the #1 Lexus dealership, by the way, considered a luxury car, okay? Considered a foreign whip, at least to their standards, even to our standards in America, because it's a Japanese car. But yes, it's a foreign exotic whip. And not only that, their #1 dealership of that brand is in Liverpool FC, in Liverpool City. Now, why is that significant? Did you know that Liverpool is #1 at, how do I say this, unemployment in all of the country? So what does that tell you? Well, that tells you, if you are about that life, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Think about it. #1 Lexus dealership in all of the UK, also #1 unemployment in all of the UK. I let you do the math. And that lets you know what kind of environment Paddy comes from. Ilia Topuria, he comes from a very similar rough background. What is that other rough background that we're talking about? We're talking about war. War with the Georgians and the Russians. And that literally sparked something in Ilia Topuria where he had decided, you know what? I am now the double champion. I can fight anybody I want. I could go fight, what's his name? Arman Sarukian. Okay, he is the #1 contender. I could go fight Islam, just wait for him. Maybe even go up and fight at 170 if he wins that strap. But he decided he's going to go after Paddy Pimblett because of what he said. And you want to know how serious that is? I need you to listen to this right here.
A hybrid war is underway. Today, Russia is no longer fighting us with bullets. It's fighting us psychologically. A creeping occupation is taking place, which is one of our most painful issues, and most importantly, the falsification of history. That is why it's necessary to preserve it.
So now you understand exactly what is it that Ilia Topuria is fighting for, right? He's fighting not just for pride, for honor, but for also the sworn dignity of his people. You got to understand that. That is what is driving this man. And you know what? The fact that it is a driving force behind him, it is also the reason why he's going to go in there and train even harder than he did for anybody else, including Paddy Pimblett. Now, here's the thing about Paddy Pimblett, okay? He's improved vastly over the years and over time, ever since his debut that he did in the pandemic. Before that, he was a Cage Warriors staple. He was one of their biggest names and built his brand in that particular league. Now, why is it that he didn't want to sign to the UFC early? Well, he knew that he was in the developmental stages of his career, and he had decided, you know what? I'm going to take that approach. Again, going back to the everyday man type of approach, whereas with Ilia Topuria, what was this dude's approach? His whole approach was, you know what? I'm searching for greatness. I want to go fight for the featherweight title straight away, and then fight for a double championship straight away, and then be even more ambitious than that, fight for a 3-weight strap and be the first guy to do that at 170, 155, and 145. He wants to be that guy to do that. He's searching for Michael Jordan greatness. This is what is in his mind. Whereas with Paddy, his mind is just becoming the everyday man. Look, you got to understand what I told you earlier, right? Number one unemployment in all of the UK is Liverpool City, his city, yet also the number one Lexus dealership in all the country. Because I'm going to say it like this, where he's from, man, people got to hustle, just like anywhere in the world where there is a ghetto, where there is a hood and this and that. People are just out there trying to make it, just like we're all trying to make it in any kind of way, right? So that is his driving force. But with Ilya, his force is not only ideological, it is nationalistic. It is also with pride, but also steeped in honor culture. But Paddy Pimblett, his whole entire honor culture is predicated from the streets of Liverpool. And by the way, here's an interesting fact that you don't know about Liverpool, right? Did you know that the Beatles came from Liverpool? Obviously, the likes of Darren Till came from Liverpool. The Smiths came from Liverpool. The list goes on of people that came from Liverpool. But what do you know about the Beatles? What do you know about John Lennon? Did you know that he joined the Black Panther movement? Right? This is the type of people they are, man. I'm just trying to tell you the psychology behind the Scousers, the people that claim they never get knocked out. And you know what? That is great. You need to have that mentality, because the truth is we've never seen Paddy get knocked out. Okay? We've never seen it. But maybe we can with Ilia Topuria. And guess what? This fight right here is going to lead into probably one of the best fights out there. You know what? I'll tell you this. This fight right here, as they're comparing all these comparisons to Ilia Topuria and Conor McGregor, right? You know what this fight is going to be like? It's going to be exactly like Nate Diaz versus Conor McGregor. So in other words, Paddy Pimblett is the Nate Diaz to the comparison of Conor McGregor to Ilia Topuria, if you could put that in perspective. And I actually got a video on that right now, which I'm going to end with, and I'm going to advertise as one of my older videos. And I hope you guys do like and subscribe. And until then, I'm going to show you that video right now and sign up. All right, so there it is. As I was researching this on the live stream, there it goes right here. And by the way, if you want to see me react to this, check out the live stream portion of this particular content that we are doing right now. I'm going to do a reaction to this video that I did 2 years ago. Paddy Pimblett versus Topuria will be the next Conor McGregor versus Diaz rivalry. I urge you guys to take a look at that. And I urge you guys to take a look at the live stream, of which I'm going to be doing a live reaction to this. All of this I'm going to put on the description below, so you can find all these videos, including the live stream that I'm reacting to. So don't forget to like and subscribe. I will see you in the next one. And I hope that you guys enjoyed the content. And for everybody that's in the live stream, stay. And yes, we're going to continue more with that one. So like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next video and in the next live stream, which I'm recording right now, and in the next fight companion. All right, signing off. On to the next one. MMA needs. If you want to find predictions, news, and everything that deals with MMA, shout outs to Kyrie of El-Kheer MMA, Sacramento, California represent.
That's right, Kyrie. I appreciate you, my nigga. You came in here, you was talking that shit. That's right, bro. Much love, Flo. I appreciate you for always stepping in, bro. Be safe out there. Man, my nigga Kyrie. My man Kyrie came through. He started talking that shit. Hey, here's the thing. Here's the thing. That nigga will whoop your fucking ass. You will think that niggas all squared up and all that type of shit. Nigga come through and beat yo fucking ass. Like, man, fuck you up. You will never see it coming. So for those of y'all